Welcome back for part 2 of this series, breaking down the 2009 legal complaint filed against Elon Musk by Martin Eberhard. Part 2 of Eberhard v. Musk is brought to you by Extra.com and their RFID-protected, slim design wallet systems featuring a pop-up mechanism to access your credit cards quickly. Their Parliament wallet, shown here, holds up to 12 cards in cash. We got the black leather one, but it comes in your choice of 6 different colors. It prevents wireless theft using RFID protection and can be trackable if you add their proprietary tracker card. The card is solar-powered with a 3-hour charge giving you 2 full months of battery life. It offers wallet and phone ringing features and is voice-activated using Siri, Alexa, or Google. Your choice. If you don't carry cash, you might prefer their Cardholder Pro. We got the carbon fiber one. 6 cards accessible by the click of a button, RFID protection, and again a spot for your tracker card. Extra is rated the #1 smart wallet in the world with a 100-day risk-free trial. Enjoy up to 30% off until May 19th. And use the partner link promo code COMMONSENSE to get an additional 10% savings by clicking the link in the video description. Now let's get back to Eberhard's complaint against Elon Musk. We left off at paragraph 47, where Eberhard had been forced out of the company by Musk, and 48 reminds us of the points of Exhibit 2, covering severance payment, the stock options, and the non-disparagement agreement. But 49 covers the confusion that we had about the $100,000 payout, since here, Eberhard states, he had not been paid for the role previously. As he says, the payments agreed to were commensurate with Eberhard's salary as an employee of Tesla Motors, not as a member of the BOD. And as such, we'll add, would definitely not be subject to any additional clauses found in Exhibit 2. As you remember from Part 1, we would have interpreted that as 2 different payments of $100,000 because they were on 2 different documents. Paragraph 50 states this was an attempt to unlawfully classify Eberhard's wage payout as compensation for resigning from the BOD. Under California law, this would be improper. And 51 states that the first 2 payments made to Eberhard were accompanied by pay stubs with all customary deductions, along with a W-2 form indicating the payments were considered wages. Exhibit 3 provided Eberhard's pay stub for December 2007 and his W-2 form for 2007, both indicating these payments were considered wages. The $250,000 stock options are also mentioned again, quoting from Exhibit 2, then stating under 53 that Eberhard was informed that the board had approved the options grant. So we move into Section D, where, predictably, Tesla Motors breached Eberhard's severance package. Eberhard had a personal blog page at TeslaFounders.com, a now defunct website, and on January 10th of 2008, he posted an article on that blog about the large number of employees that had been terminated at that time. He included a personal opinion that the employees were treated unfairly. However, none of the statements made by Eberhard were false. 4 days later, the new CEO and Musk yes-man at Tesla, Zeev Drory, accused Eberhard of violating the non-disparagement clause of the severance agreement. And within 48 hours, Eberhard removed the post, even though he did not believe he violated the agreement, since he was simply stating facts. On January 28th, Tesla's counsel informed Eberhard that the company believed that he had broken the non-disparagement clause and revoked his outstanding pay due, the options package, and Eberhard's seat on the board of advisors. Eberhard only received 1/3 of his severance money up until that point in time. 59 points out that nowhere in the agreement at Exhibit 2 were any restrictions on the stock options, such as a vesting cliff or a right to terminate. Nowhere in that agreement did it say that Eberhard's compensation or benefits would be unilaterally terminated upon breach. Therefore, Tesla violated California laws prohibiting employers from deducting or discontinuing any wage payments of an employee, severance packages included. Moving into Section E, where Musk was disparaging Eberhard. 60 describes how Musk had been disparaging towards Eberhard not only in the last few months of Eberhard's tenure, but more so after Eberhard was forced out, continuously making defamatory, disparaging, negative, and harmful statements about Eberhard within Tesla Motors and in public forums, such as electronic media, newspapers, websites, and blogs. What's more, Musk was making statements as if he were the founder or creator of Tesla, rather than Eberhard and Tarpenning, where Musk claimed to be primarily responsible for the creation of the Tesla Roadster. Statements identifying Musk as the founder of the company were published several times with no attempt from Musk to correct them. Another parallel to a past venture described at 62. This is something that Musk continues to do to this day. Let's go to his very recent Hannity interview with Musk and President Trump.
Let's go over a little bit of your bio, starting with PayPal and how you became involved in Tesla and SpaceX and Neuralink and all these.
Take a while. I mean, you know, I think the way to think of me is like I'm a technologist, and I try to make technologies that improve the world.
Quote, Musk has perpetuated this untruth with full awareness regarding the value that accompanies the title of founder of a startup that has a potential to become a successful large company, end quote. And Eberhard informs the court, with receipts, that Musk did the exact same thing where PayPal was concerned, except Eberhard got a couple of key points incorrect here, points that would have benefited his case had he gotten them correct. But, to be honest, most people at the time did not know any better. Eberhard claims that, quote, in the 1990s, Musk was involved in the creation and the management of PayPal Inc., end quote. In truth, Musk never worked for a company called PayPal, even though the documents signed by Musk were titled PayPal Inc. The formal renaming of the company from Confinity did not occur until June of 2001. PayPal itself, up until that time, was the name of the platform that had been developed prior to Musk's X.com and Thiel's Confinity merging. Musk did not found Confinity, the company that developed the PayPal platform, but he did demand the ability to use that title in his severance agreement from the company when he was fired from the CEO position for incompetence and hiding the company's financial information from investors. 62 quotes from Exhibit 4, the clause in the termination letter where Musk is granted the ability to use the word founder, that the website would remove the true and accurate founder information from the materials, and nobody at PayPal would be allowed to make any statements undermining that claim. So previously, Musk had pulled a similar stunt where being considered a founder was concerned, as Eberhard states in 63. At 64, Eberhard informs the court that during the time period from the end of 2007 through 2008, Musk made several false statements about Eberhard being terminated from the company for performance and management issues, when in fact Eberhard was forced to resign, as the paperwork in Exhibit 1 and 2 clearly indicate. Musk attributed production delays and cost overruns to Eberhard, despite the fact that Musk himself was constantly insisting on expensive and unnecessary upgrades that kept pushing the timeline. And Musk made public statements outside to third parties as well as to Tesla Motors employees, customers, and investors that falsely alleged that Eberhard misled the board about the cost of the Roadster. That was in 2009. Musk continues until present day to make similar disparaging comments about Eberhard whenever he's given the opportunity. Let's go back to the 2022 TED Talk.
Tesla did not exist in any. Tesla was a shell company with no employees, no intellectual property when I invested. But a false narrative has been created by one of the other co-founders, Martin Eberhard. I didn't invest in an existing company. We created a company. Yeah. And ultimately, the creation of that company was done by JV and me. And unfortunately, there's someone else, another co-founder, who has made it his life's mission to make it sound like he created the company, which is false.
Section E, subsection 1 goes through a list of articles entered into exhibits where Musk either stated or failed to correct claims that he was the founder of the company. And of course, this list of articles dating up until the filing date would be minuscule compared to the number of articles that have been published since then that give Musk full credit for the formation of the company. We'll hit the high points here that have a little more meat on the bone rather than simply a mention as founder to speed things up, but all paragraphs here refer to full articles in evidence. Like this one at 70, where Inc.com not only referred to Tesla as being Musk's company, but also referred to the Roadster as being Musk's car. At 75, a LincolnShots.com article refers to Musk as being the person behind the Tesla Roadster, Exhibit 13. At 80, in a video interview with EpicFU.com that has since been removed from history, as the webpage has been, where Musk says, "The reason I founded Tesla was because I really believe that the future of transportation should be electric." That's Exhibit 18. At 82, a June 2008 interview with Sam of Yosemite for Autoblog Green, Musk falsely claimed that when he first became involved with Tesla, quote, "zero was done on the Tesla business plan because there wasn't anything there," end quote, implying that Tesla Motors was not yet founded upon Musk's initial involvement. Musk also falsely claimed to have been involved with the company in September 2003, exaggerating his role in developing the Roadster, and misrepresented his share in the company. That appears as Exhibit 19. At 84, Musk claimed to have formed the idea for Tesla Motors before meeting with Eberhard and Tarpenning, and claims to have been involved in the company from October 2003 now, instead of the true date of April 2004, and even then as a mere investor. At 86, CNN.com claimed Tesla was bankrolled by Elon Musk starting back in 2003, when the company was financed in those days by the multimillionaire partners Eberhard and Tarpenning, at Exhibit 22. At 87, Exhibit 23 shows a page from the Tesla Motors website that was taken down May 27th of 2009 that described Musk as being, quote, involved in key product decisions since the start of Tesla Motors, end quote, which we know by date comparisons alone was a complete crock of shit. At subsection 2, we get into how Musk directly disparaged Eberhard's professional reputation, beyond the other claims already demonstrated. At 90, the overview states that from the end of 2007 through 2008, Musk made statements in emails to Tesla Motors employees, customers, and investors claiming that Eberhard had been terminated because of performance and management issues. At 91, Exhibit 24 is used to show how Musk made a public disparaging and/or defamatory claim in a letter sent to all Tesla Motors employees, customers, and investors, stating that the change made in the company around that time were to ensure accountability and providing that any delays in the production of the Tesla Roadster were due to those employees who were being held accountable by being terminated. At 92, Musk told USA Today that the company under Eberhard was racked by spiraling development costs, taking no responsibility for his role in that. At 93, Musk claimed to be working 40 to 50 hours per week to correct a lot of the problems, alluding that the problems were created by Eberhard and suggesting that he was the only one who could fix them. At 94, Exhibit 26 quotes a Fortune magazine article printed in July of 2008, where Musk asserted that he was too busy to talk about the management change at Tesla Motors because he was trying to fix the fucking mess Eberhard left. The article also quoted Musk as saying, he's never met someone who is as capable of creating such a disinformation campaign as Martin Eberhard. This article was published with no citation as to what disinformation Eberhard was being accused of here. 95 quotes a New York Times article, Exhibit 27, where Musk blamed most of the Tesla production problems on Eberhard. 96, Exhibit 28, an article from TeslaMotorsClub.com, where Musk accused the actual Tesla founder of misleading the company about the cost of the car and the time frame of when it could go into production, a claim repeated at Valleywag.com during an interview in November 2008. In the November 2008 issue of Newsweek, Musk full out called Martin Eberhard the worst individual I've ever had the displeasure of working with. Eberhard, whose company Musk stole out from underneath him, whose brainchild was the flagship product in development at that company. The worst individual Musk ever worked with. That's Exhibit 30. 99 is the true and correct Exhibit 31, an article from January 2009 describing an email that Musk sent out to customers that stated a 2007 audit made by investors revealed the Roadster was to cost $140,000 per unit to produce, and that this audit was the reason that Eberhard got the boot. No such audit report was included with the letter or with this exhibit submission, and, we'll tag on here, was not mentioned at the time that Eberhard was forced to leave the company. Paragraph 100 cites Musk shit-talking Eberhard to the employees at Tesla Motors, but didn't provide any examples or exhibits. 101 notes that any comments Musk made were on behalf of Tesla Motors and were republished by other news outlets across the country. On his behalf, we're going to add here, also around the world. As a result of the public statements made by Musk, Eberhard was unable to find work for over a year. Due to this ongoing damage to his professional reputation, which further impeded Eberhard's ability to raise funds for any future startup. Now that we've gone through how Musk represented Eberhard to the world at large, let's dig into how Musk misrepresents his own achievements and credentials in Section F. Subsection 1 goes through how Musk misrepresents his affiliation with Stanford University. 104 describes how Musk claims to have dropped out of a PhD program at Stanford when he, in fact, was never enrolled at Stanford. Eberhard cites a number of articles demonstrating Musk making that claim, creating exhibits 32 through 36. 105, Musk told Saloon.com in August of 1999 that he stayed exactly 2 days before dropping out. April 2003, he told USAToday.com that he dropped out of Stanford's doctoral program in physics. February 2008, CNET reported that Musk dropped out of a graduate program in physics at Stanford University. June 2008, A Musk profile on howstuffworks.com stated Musk was set up to begin a graduate program at Stanford in 1995, but chose to drop out. And the last example and evidence was from May 2009 in Wired magazine that stated Musk dropped out of Stanford in 1995. Now, we don't know if you've picked up on the back and forth here between this being a PhD program and a graduate program, but the terms are not interchangeable. A graduate program taking 1 to 2 years is how someone acquires a master's degree, while a PhD taking 3 to 5 years to complete is a research-focused terminal degree that culminates in a dissertation or thesis for peer review. Musk, it would appear, cannot keep straight what level of education he intended to receive from Stanford. Remember, this is information that Eberhard shared in 2009, 16 years ago, and yet it has resurfaced thanks to Musk's political ambitions, with additional information being shared and speculated upon, fed by his brother Kimball's claim that the brothers were, in fact, illegal aliens in the States at the time for breaching their student visas.
These people are insane.
They obviously do not realize we're sleeping in the office.
In fact, when they did fund us, they realized that we were illegal immigrants.
Well, I mean,
Yes, we were.
I'd say it's a gray area.
Yeah, yes, we were. We were illegal immigrants. We were sleeping in the office. We didn't have a car. We had one car, but the wheel kept falling off.
And it needs to be noted that Stanford University has in the past issued a statement indicating that Elon Musk was never enrolled at any course in their institution. Subsection 2 digs into misrepresentation of Musk's degree from the University of Pennsylvania. Paragraph 110 claims that Musk falsely claimed to have a degree in physics from that institution dated 1995, when he in fact held no such degree, and the only degree Musk held was obtained after that. Upon information and belief, Eberhard states that Musk's only known undergraduate degree is a Bachelor of Science in Economics, obtained from UPenn in 1997. 111 uses Exhibit 32 from August of 1999, this time to show Musk telling Salon.com he stayed an extra year at UPenn to finish a second degree in physics. 112 uses Exhibit 33 from April 2003, stating that Musk held an undergraduate degree in physics from UPenn. 113 uses Exhibit 35, which stated Musk had degrees in both physics and business from the University of Pennsylvania. We checked, and it should be noted, that a degree in business is not the same as a degree in economics. These terms are not interchangeable. 114 states that Musk has even misrepresented his educational background in formal SEC filings, especially focused on his PayPal days. Exhibit 39, Musk purported to hold a Bachelor of Science in Physics from the University of Pennsylvania, in addition to a Bachelor of Science in Economics from the Wharton School of the University of Pennsylvania dated 1995. We are going to point out the University of Pennsylvania does not offer a Bachelor of Science in Physics. What they do offer is a Bachelor of Arts in Physics, which is basically Physics Light. And the date of 1995 also appears to be at odds with reality. Time for Section G, where Tesla breached Eberhard's Roadster agreement. As stated in 115, although Eberhard designed the vehicle from the ground up and was fully entitled to receive the first one off the line, Eberhard instead purchased the second production Tesla for the amount of $100,000, which was wired in full to Tesla Motors on the day the agreement was executed. Musk, as it turned out, had already helped himself to the reservation for the first vehicle off the line. 116 correctly mentions that the value of this vehicle cannot be understated, as first off-the-line production vehicles, what would be called the Founder Series, could be valued upwards of several $million, and he cites an example here of an early production Maserati MC12 that fetched $2.25 million at auction. 117 mentions what we just stated, that the narcissistic Musk helped himself to the first vehicle off the line, a vehicle that Eberhard should certainly have received as the inventor and creator. Eberhard agreed to receiving the second vehicle as a compromise to appease Musk. Eberhard's focus since the outset was on the company getting to the point where the production of this car was made possible. To that end, he did not want to create any disturbances, and continued to tolerate the disparagement at the hands of Musk. At this point, he just wanted to get his car, and he waited patiently for it. Reading from 119 onwards, production of the vehicle, through the arrangement that Eberhard and Tarpenning had set up with Lotus in the very beginning, was set to begin on January 23, 2008, meaning the vast majority of the development of this vehicle had to have been in place during Eberhard's tenure as CEO and later CTO. There is no possible way that in the span of 2 months, including over the Christmas holiday break, that any meaningful changes would or could have been made to the design of that car. On February 9th, 2008, Eberhard was informed that his personal vehicle order would be ready on March 17th, 2008. However, shortly afterwards, Eberhard discovered that his vehicle that he paid in full for, Founder Series Serial Number 2, that Tesla contracted to him under payment, had already been built and delivered to another man, Musk's good friend, Antonio Gracias, in blatant breach of the company's written agreement with Eberhard. Eberhard was also informed that the vehicle he was going to receive had yet to undergo an endurance test, but not on the test track as contracted with Lotus in England. No, this test was conducted by an untrained Tesla employee on densely populated public roads in California. Eberhard continued to wait for his car until June 3rd, when he learned that during this endurance testing, his personal vehicle had been crashed into the back of a truck, almost totaling the vehicle. 75 parts had to be replaced on the car before it was drivable again, and this was the second vehicle that had been damaged by that same test driver. 126 describes how the vehicle that Eberhard received was not only of far less intrinsic value to collectors, but also was a rebuild after the devastating crash. Eberhard would finally receive his devalued, damaged car on July 19, 2008, and even then the car was not as ordered. Eberhard had been promised a drivetrain upgrade as part of the purchase contract, affecting the car's battery, motor, transmission, and power electronics. As of the time of this filing, Tesla had still not made good on that contractual obligation. The summary at 129 reads, Eberhard has been publicly defamed, forced to watch a company he founded and created be controlled by the same people who have defamed him, seen his Roadster destroyed, and suffered damages as a result of the defendants. This is how the true founder and visionary of Tesla was treated by Elon Musk. Which brings us into the numbered causes of action. First cause of action is liable, using the previous paragraphs 1 through 129 as the basis of the claim of written false, defamatory, and unprivileged statements regarding the circumstance of Eberhard's status as founder and creator of Tesla Motors, his alleged termination, and the work product he created while employed at Tesla Motors, and that Eberhard allegedly made false representation to the board. Defendants made statements that were either false, omitted necessary qualifiers, or were severely misleading, knowing that the statements were not true. And as a result, Eberhard suffered reputational damage, leaving him unable to find employment and crippling his ability to form startups and raise capital. Fallout from these false stories also caused Eberhard emotional distress and financial loss to be proved at trial. The second cause of action is slander, and for all the same reasons, but slander is the verbal defamation of someone as opposed to the written word. Other than that qualifier, the causes read the same verbatim. The third cause of action is injunctive relief, and this is to legally settle the controversy between Musk and Eberhard once and for all, across 4 points where Musk was acting on behalf of Tesla. Claimed to be the founder or creator of Tesla. Undermined the status of Eberhard or Tarpenning as the sole founders of Tesla. Claimed that Eberhard was principally responsible for the Roadster production delays or company's financial instability, and claimed Eberhard had deceived and made misrepresentations to the BOD during his tenure. As a result, Eberhard was seeking the following injunctive relief. A. An order for Musk to cease and desist from making any statements to the effect that Musk is a founder or creator of Tesla Motors, which is fair, he wasn't. Anyone other than Eberhard or Tarpenning are the founders or creators of Tesla, which is fair, they were. Undermine the status of Eberhard and Tarpenning as the sole founders and creators of Tesla Motors, again, they were. Eberhard was principally responsible for the Roadster's production delays and financial stability. As we have seen, Musk played a rather large role in both those scenarios. And 5, that Eberhard deceived and made misrepresentation to the board of directors during his tenure at Tesla Motors. B is an order that carries the same verbiage as A in all regards, but refers to the company board of directors and executive team, requiring them to cease and desist from making claims of a similar nature. C, an order mandating that Tesla Motors include a statement on its website and official publications that Eberhard and Tarpenning are the sole founders and creators of the company, and remove all references from its website and the official publications as if Musk was the founder of the company, including but not limited to any publications stating that Musk is the founder of Tesla Motors. And D, an order mandating Tesla Motors and Musk to publish a public statement to be distributed to all major media outlets, stating that 1. Musk was never the founder nor creator of Tesla Motors, 2. that Eberhard and Tarpenning are the sole founders and creators of Tesla Motors, 3. that Musk and Tesla retract any statements that undermine the status of Eberhard and Tarpenning as the founders and creators of Tesla Motors, as well as any statements asserting that Eberhard was principally responsible for the Roadster's production delay or financial instability, or that Eberhard had deceived and made misrepresentations to the BOD during his tenure. As 145 concludes, such injunctive relief is necessary and appropriate due to the high likelihood that Musk and Tesla would repeat such defamatory statements in the future, and the public retractions of Musk and Tesla would be necessary to help undo the substantial damage that Eberhard's reputation suffered due to Musk's and Tesla's actions. Fourth cause of action is breach of contract, and this is across several aspects. Count 1 is the breach of the severance agreement, which accuses the company at 148 of breaching the resignation of employment agreement and the resignation from the BOD agreement by violating the non-disparagement clause, failing to pay Eberhard his full severance package, and discontinuing the vesting of Eberhard's Tesla Motors stock options under these severance agreements. Count 2 is the breach of the Roadster delivery agreement, in that Eberhard paid in full for the second production Founder Series unit off the line, complete with upgrades, failing to properly test the Roadster, causing the vehicle to crash, failing to deliver the car in a timely fashion, and delivering a car that underwent a major collision. Moving into Count 3, this counts the upgrades to the Roadster that were not delivered, namely, as in 154, the essential drivetrain upgrade on Eberhard's Roadster, which breached the contract between Eberhard and the company. Relief for this in compensatory and nominal damages would be determined at trial. The fifth cause of action deals with the specific performance of the severance agreements as per the BOD resignation agreement of November 28, 2007. Eberhard affirms that he performed all of his duties that were required to be performed under the terms of that contract, and that Eberhard remains ready and willing to perform all terms of the agreement applicable to him. At 160, Eberhard contends that Tesla Motors unilaterally and inexcusably breached the BOD resignation agreement when they refused to honor its obligation to grant Eberhard with the stock option package vested monthly from January 2008 through December 2011 as per the agreement. 161 claims Eberhard has no adequate remedy at law because the value of the shares is subject to change. In this, Eberhard could have had no idea where the share value would wind up. Those 250,000 shares in 2009 would be split 5-1 in August of 2020, and again at 3-1 in August of 2022. So the 250,000 shares then would have become 3,750,000 shares today. We can't determine the market value of the shares before the company went public on June 29, 2010, but we can say that the IPO for Tesla shares was set at $17 per share. Eberhard's options would have allowed him to purchase the shares at a 15% discount, or $14.45 per share. But that's pre-split. According to today's share price, Eberhard would have paid about 96 cents per share, and those 250,000 shares from 2009, today at a share price in the neighborhood of $300 per share, would have been worth $1.125 billion. That's just the options package. As a quick aside, in Exhibit 2, there's mention of 8 million shares that were moved from preferred stock to common shares, presumably that belonged to Eberhard. It's his document. And that would represent Eberhard's investment in cash and sweat equity prior to his departure, investments that Musk denies Eberhard ever made. That is also pre-split. After the 5-1 and 3-1 split, those 8 million shares would have expanded into 120 million shares, and at today's price of roughly $300 per share would equate to $36 billion. Sixth cause of action deals with 2 counts of declaratory relief. The first is a rehashing of the injunctive relief points, which dealt with a cease and desist from past claims made by Musk and the company Tesla Motors regarding Eberhard. The second asked the court to declare Eberhard may ascertain his rights regarding the stock options, including a pro rata portion of the options that may have expired. Seventh cause of action, the failure to pay due and earned wages in violation of the labor code. This is pretty straightforward. Tesla stopped paying the monthly installments on Eberhard's promised settlement, but as it states at 174, such installments were improper to begin with. The California Labor Code, Section 202A, requires an employer to pay compensation due and owing to an employee who has quit or resigned within 72 hours of notice being given. Spreading this out over monthly installments, according to the Labor Code, was illegal. This is cited again in the 8th cause of action, regarding waiting time penalties for failure to pay due and earned wages pursuant to California Labor Code Section 203. This action seeks to claim those penalties. The ninth cause of action, failure to provide lawful wage statements under California Labor Code, seeks to get Eberhard's records brought into compliance. The 10th cause of action deals again with the Roadster, claiming conversion asserted against Tesla Motors, who did not deliver the car to Eberhard as promised and covered it for the company's gain. So here, Eberhard is asking the court to determine punitive damages on that vehicle to make him whole. And the 11th cause of action covers negligence and negligent infliction of emotional distress, claiming the actions of the defendants through their words and actions carelessly, negligently, and arbitrarily inflicted emotional distress upon the true founder and creator of Tesla Motors. That wraps up the legal document and opens up the question. Why did this case never see the light of day? It's a great question, with an answer that you have to find between the lines. Despite what Musk and his camp would have you believe, the case was not settled because they forced Eberhard to cry uncle. In fact, according to the judge overseeing the discovery process, the court case was Eberhard's to lose. When he was granted permission to proceed, the judge himself said Eberhard demonstrated a probability he would prevail if the case went to trial. The answer to the question, why did this not go to trial, can be found in the response that Eberhard made following the finalization of the settlement, the details of which are sealed despite the huge interest in seeing what they might contain. Quote, "We can now focus on the important issue, making electric vehicles successful, something we are both passionate about." Musk followed up with, "Industry-changing efforts are virtually impossible. Without Martin's indispensable efforts, Tesla Motors would not be here today." And that's why we believe the case was settled, with Musk receiving a co-founder title as a result of this deal. Eberhard created this company, poured his heart and soul into it, and he did not want to be the one to burn it to the ground, which was a completely possible outcome of airing the company's dirty laundry and Musk backstabbing to the public at large. So to protect the company, Eberhard settled quietly, the same way he did when Musk originally forced him out of the CEO position without any input to his successor. Again, when he accepted the technology position to keep the process of the Roadster moving forward. And again, when Musk eventually forced him out of the company entirely. With the board of sycophants that Musk assembled, there was no chance of Eberhard getting back into the company. But he still did what was in the company's best interest instead of his own. And for that sacrifice, Eberhard continues to this day to suffer the wrath of Musk the man-child, who belittles Eberhard every chance he gets and continues to commit slander and libel against the very man that Musk stole the keys to the kingdom from. Here's a great example of the garbage he continued to spread even 3 years ago, 13 years after the settlement was reached.
I think a lot of people just think that someone else started it, you joined later, and whatever. But obviously, that's not true. So
that is not true. The reason people think that is because Eberhard has engaged in a non-stop campaign to try to effectively gain sole credit for Tesla for himself, and he's the worst person I have ever worked with, and that is saying something. Okay, I've worked with some real assholes. Okay, so for somebody to be the worst person I have ever worked with, by far,
yeah,
that's not easy, is what I'm saying.
Now that you know, through these court documents, how Eberhard and Tarpenning created Tesla back in January 2002, and how Martin Eberhard bailed out AC Propulsion, listen to this Tesla origin story as told by Musk, and how he attempts to assimilate Martin Eberhard's personal story as his own.
The actual origin of Tesla goes to 2003, when I had lunch with JB in El Segundo. And we got to talking about electric cars, and JB said, hey, have you tried the AC Propulsion T0? I said, no, but we talked about battery technology and how the lithium ion would finally enable a long-range car. I never heard of Eberhard at this point, never heard of him.
So already we have Musk trying to take credit for the lithium battery concept, something he claims to have talked to JB Straubel about in 2003. That's a bit of a problem as a Tesla origin story, since Eberhard and Tarpenning had been working on their lithium battery pack design since 2002. Musk also says that JB suggested he go to AC Propulsion to test drive the T0, and he ends it off by claiming he had never heard of Eberhard at that point. Continuing on.
So then I got a test drive from AC Propulsion T0, and I was like, wow, okay, this is pretty cool. So at first I was like, well, can you guys just make me a T0? I'll buy one from you. And they didn't want to make another one. So I was like, okay. And I said, you guys should really commercialize the T0. Because the T0 had all the properties that we later had in the Roadster. It's sort of like 250-mile range, 0 to 60 under 4 seconds, or roughly 4 seconds. You can see a resemblance between the T0 and the Roadster. It's basically a small electric sports car.
If you recall from part 1, Eberhard was the person who went to AC Propulsion and asked them to build him a car. You may further recall that company was going out of business, and the AC Propulsion CEO confirmed in an interview that it was Eberhard's input both technically and financially that kept them going, allowing them time to convert the T0's persnickety lead-acid battery packs into lithium-ion battery packs. But here's the kicker. Musk says that the T0 he test drove had a 250-mile range, which means whether or not Musk had ever heard of Martin Eberhard before, he test drove the car that Eberhard had already converted into a lithium-ion powered sports car, and that would be Eberhard's proprietary intellectual property. That, as they say, is that. Now you might be thinking to yourself, okay, this is a one-of, where Musk butted heads with someone and tried to assimilate that person's achievements into his own CV, and you'd be wrong. Meet Peter Rawlinson. Peter is another proper engineer that Musk has maligned publicly in the past. Not only a proper engineer educated at the Imperial College of London, but a proper auto engineer that previously worked for Lotus prior to the Tesla collaboration and Chorus Automotive while Tesla was getting off the ground. You can see from his LinkedIn profile that Rawlinson joined up with Tesla in 2009, with the twin titles of Vice President and Chief Engineer for Model S, which would be after the departure of Eberhard and Tarpenning, and right around the time that Eberhard filed this case. When Rawlinson met Musk for the first time, he was shown the Model S as designed by Franz von Holzhausen. After giving the vehicle a proper inspection, Musk asked Peter, "How bad is it?" And Peter told him, "You are going to have to cancel this vehicle." What happened instead was Rawlinson was brought into the company to completely overhaul the vehicle from the ground up, meaning that the Model S prototype that Franz von Holzhausen created in no meaningful way resembled the car that Rawlinson sent to production. This clip from the interview that Rawlinson did with Axios sums up the differences between Rawlinson and Musk.
Do you want to go to space?
I have no aspirations. I know my place. I do cars.
Do you think you'll ever dig tunnels under LA?
I'm the guy who does cars.
Do you want to host SNL?
I think I'm a one-trick pony. I do cars.
All right.
I'm the guy who always does cars. I know my place.
As he told the interviewer, "I'm the guy that does cars." And as it turns out, he does cars rather well. After his stint with Tesla, Rawlinson joined forces with a small auto startup called Ativa, created in 2007 by Tesla Motors VP Bernard C., co-founder of Astoria Networks Sam Wang, and inventor Xiaoping Lin, to build electric vehicle batteries and powertrains for vehicle manufacturers. And they started building batteries for city buses in China in 2011. Rawlinson came into the company as their chief technology officer and board member, and in 2016, when they rebranded as Lucid Motors, the company announced plans to build their own all-electric, long-range, high-performance vehicle. The following month, Lucid announced their intent to construct a new factory in Casa Grande, Arizona, expected to employ up to 2,000 people, initially building 20,000 cars per year. That project was assisted by a $1 billion investment in the company from the Saudi Public Investment Fund, or PIF. In 2019, Rawlinson took on the additional role of CEO, keeping the CTO title, and the first cars rolled off the assembly line September 2021, shortly after the company went public in July. Today, Lucid's Air Sapphire is considered to be the world's best electric luxury vehicle in production. In October of 2024, the YouTube channel For Edmunds Cars released a U drag race of the Lucid against a Tesla Model S Plaid, and it was not even close. The Lucid stayed ahead of the Plaid from start to finish. Battery range on a 2025 Lucid Air Pure is EPA estimated at 420 miles, 675 kilometers, with the Grand Touring model ranging up to 512 miles, or about 825 kilometers. A Tesla Model S, as shown in the drag clip, has an estimated range of 359 miles, 577 kilometers, the Model 3 a mere 320 miles. In every quality and performance metric, the Lucid is a better vehicle. These achievements obviously caught the attention of car enthusiasts and publications, including Joey Klender at Teslarati, who wrote an article prior to the Lucid unveiling, where the author gave a rundown of Lucid's game plan, and he included Rawlinson's prior involvement with Tesla, stating Rawlinson designed the Model S in 2009 after he was brought on by Musk. Musk responded with a tweet that, quote, Rawlinson didn't design Model S. Prototype was done before he joined, and he left us in the lurch just as things got tough, which was not cool. He did make some contributions to body chassis engineering, but not to powertrain, battery, electronics, or software, which would once again be Mr. Musk revising history to belittle someone who made major contributions to one of Tesla's seminal products. Musk went even further and stated that Rawlinson was never chief engineer. This is a demonstrably false statement, proven wrong even by the company's own blog archives of September 2009. Peter Rawlinson, Vice President and Chief Vehicle Engineer, is responsible for the technical execution and delivery of the Model S and for leading a world-class vehicle engineering team. That's directly from Tesla.com. So Rawlinson was definitely a Tesla VP and the chief engineer for the Model S, a position that by definition would extend beyond Musk's claim of only making some contributions to body and chassis engineering. And just to leave no doubt behind, because Rawlinson has said in interviews that his name is on 70% of the patents associated with the Model S. We went to patents.google.com to find out what contributions Rawlinson made and to what components. There are 68 entries, including dozens of patents with Rawlinson's name on them from his time at Ativa as well. But we'll go through some of the listed ones specifically related to Tesla. Augmented seat mount, system for absorbing and distributing side impact energy utilizing an integrated battery pack, thermal management system for use with an integrated motor assembly, front rail configuration for the front structure of a vehicle, door handle apparatus for vehicle, vehicle battery pack ballistic shield, vehicle battery pack thermal barrier, single piece vehicle rocker panel, vehicle front shock tower, rear vehicle torque box, reinforced B-pillar assembly with reinforced rocker joint, control system for use with a dual hinge door, sunroof utilizing 2 independent motors. So just by using the patent documents alone, we can dispose of Musk's statement about Rawlinson not being involved with the drivetrain, battery, and electronics. And the only reason why Musk would make a statement like that is to knock down somebody else, because Musk is not getting the spotlight he thinks he's due. Here's another clip from that interview with Axios.
I know you don't like to talk about the competition, but he has taken some swipes on Twitter. He even said you were not the chief engineer of Model S. What do you say to that?
I wish I had. Actually upstairs I've got some of my old business cards. And it says chief engineer. I'll hand you the card. I wish I'd have my prop with me. But seriously, I've got my old business cards, and it says, and the SEC filing showed me as that.
Well, let me read you a tweet. Rawlinson was never chief engineer. He arrived after Model S prototype was made, left before things got tough, and was only ever responsible for body engineering, not powertrain, battery, software, production, or design. What do you say?
It's historical revisionism, isn't it?
Just in case you think this type of behavior from Musk is specific to Tesla or EVs, it's not. It's ingrained into his core personality traits. Let's go to Neuralink. As we discovered in our Debunking Neuralink series, when the company was founded, there were 8 founders other than Musk, and every one of those 8 were experts in their field, most of them PhDs. Since the founding of the company, every single one of those founding members left, except for Dongjin Sao. He continues to hang about as the sole surviving original expert founder. One of the earliest expert founders to leave was Timothy Hansen, listed on LinkedIn as a neuro, biomedical, electrical, material, computer, and ML engineer with a PhD from Duke University in neurobiology to go along with a computer and electric engineering Bachelor of Science from Cornell, magna cum laude. Hansen quit the company after 22 months because, as stated in a January 2022 article for Fortune.com, former Neuralink employees said Elon Musk was applying relentless pressure and instilling a culture of blame. Hansen had serious reservations about the speed at which results were being demanded of them by Musk, and stated publicly to the MIT Technology Review that the device was better suited for basic scientific research on animals, and that a push toward human use could be premature. Musk took to Twitter, as he does, to degrade Tim Hansen's position in the company and claim that not only was Hansen not a founding member, he was someone who worked for the company for a short time and didn't work out. Several publications that curry Musk's favor declared Hansen was a fake engineer and fake founder of the company. But here's the problem with both of those stories. Wikipedia has a list of all the founders of the company, no matter how many times Musk has tried to wipe them from history. Tim Hansen's name is among them. And as for his contributions to Neuralink, Hansen's name appears with other founders on several key patents associated with the company. One for electrode fabrication and design, and more importantly, one for computer vision techniques used by the insertion robot that the company depends on for the actual Neuralink procedure. Once again, that's Musk taking the credit for the work that other experts did. If you think that is an unfair statement, consider this. Neuralink, despite claiming to have installed this device in more than one human at this time, has only ever written one official publication regarding the device and/or the procedure. The sole credited author of that publication, Elon Musk, who is neither a scientist nor a PhD in a related field, nor the inventor of the device. None of the other experts who founded the company were mentioned anywhere in the body of that document, and ironically, the only one that was mentioned in the citations was Timothy Hansen. But it goes even deeper than that. Most people are unaware this is another instance where Musk bought his way into a tech company, then claimed credit for the entire concept. Neuralink, both the device and the trademark, were created by a pair of neuroscientists named Pedro Masseni and Randolph Nudo. From Wiki, they had completed testing on their device that was designed to help people with brain injuries, but they lacked investor support to take it any further. In 2017, Musk sent them a proxy, very likely Jared Birchall, to buy them out completely for under $100K, without ever mentioning Musk's name. Today, this research company with no sales, no products, no scientific publications or peer-reviewed documents of note, and a history of slaughtering its animal test subjects that is under investigation for animal cruelty, carries a self-appointed valuation of $8 billion. And Musk is the only name on their white paper. So it's time to wrap this up by identifying the early warning signs we named the episode after. And even though some of these will predate the 2009 filing that we've torn apart here, had this case gone to trial and these details become known, maybe some people could have avoided a great deal of grief by simply avoiding Musk. Starting with the obvious, Musk is a textbook narcissist. Of this, there's no doubt. One of the more famous sayings about narcissists is that when they can no longer control you, they will instead try to control how others see you. With Musk, it was not enough that Martin Eberhard was removed from the company by threat and force. Musk made sure, through statements he made throughout the industry and marketplace, that Eberhard would forever be unhireable. And he did that by suggesting without evidence that Eberhard was deceptive and incompetent, knowing that combination would work to convince his board member buddies, because that's what got Musk fired from Confinity. Musk intentionally and maliciously destroyed Eberhard's reputation even after Musk forced him out of the company. As the earlier insults and libel carried little weight with little effect, Musk then changed up the story, degrading Eberhard even further. And that calculating, manipulative dishonesty, while seeking power for himself, is the behavior profile of a psychopath, making Musk a textbook narcissistic psychopath. Once you realize this, then his other behaviors, while shocking, come as less of a surprise and even become predictable. If you are smarter than Musk, he will belittle you. If that has no effect on you, he will bully you. If the bullying doesn't work, he will resort to threats and angry outbursts. Musk is known by his employees and managers to have an explosive temper that is easy to set off, akin to Jekyll and Hyde. And God help you if you call him out publicly when you know full well he has no idea what he's talking about. He might even call you a pedophile if you don't cave in to his demands for recognition. If you have a better product than Musk, he will belittle your product. If you're in competition with Musk, he will cheat to win, then rub your face in it when you lose. This is exactly what Musk did when he won the HLS competition against Bezos, even though Musk used insider information to seal that contract, which he has still not delivered on. And Musk will seek corporate power for power's sake, not because he knows what a CEO does, or what a board chair does, and the Solar City trial documents are bare-naked proof of that, but because he knows what can happen if he doesn't have one or both of those positions. His expulsion from Zip2 by the VCs, his blowout with Harris Fricker at X.com, the coup at Confinity, all taught him to buy the chair and then surround himself with sycophants. In line with full-blown narcissism are the twin traits of grandiosity and entitlement, attempting to scrub Eberhard's legacy from the company to favor his own mythos is textbook grandiosity. Musk wants everyone to believe he is the central figure of Tesla's success, so he exaggerates his own accomplishments while lying about and diminishing the role Eberhard played, building himself up by knocking somebody else down. And the entitlement of Musk was evident very early on when he demanded the board chair in return for his investment. Evident again when he single-handedly chose Eberhard's replacement as CEO, and again when he showed that rules don't apply to him by breaking several agreements and California labor law to withhold payments and promises from Eberhard out of spite, making Musk petty beyond belief. We see that pettiness and narcissism and psychopathic behavior from Musk every day now on Twitter. His Twitter feed is a constant barrage of insults and lashing out at people. Some of the more memorable ones of late include calling ISS commanders idiots and their defenders traitors. Retard is another favorite word that he uses to belittle others, even though on most occasions it describes him perfectly. Especially when he famously told Twitter advertisers to go fuck themselves, then threatened to sue them because they took his advice. We caught a glimpse of another Musk character trait as well, megalomania, also known as the God Complex. Musk positioning himself as the only person who could turn around Tesla's fortunes, claiming the grand vision of an electric vehicle future as his own, and even taking the CEO position for himself, are just a few of the reasons why Musk sits very comfortably within the definition of megalomaniac. Even now, among his loyal fans, they view Musk as a genius and a visionary. But he's neither. In fact, Musk appears to be uniquely incapable of accurately informing people what level of education or credential he carries. But we can help him out with that. He's not an engineer as he claims to be, he's not a physicist as he claims to be, he's not a rocket scientist as he claims to be, and he most definitely was never enrolled at the PhD program at Stanford. End of the day, Musk is an econ major that also happened to take the college physics equivalent of basket weaving, who is now trying to convince people around the world that he can colonize Mars. For the people claiming that Musk is a genius, you can see through the court case document that Musk is a fake, who has failed upwards thanks to the people who allowed him to stand on their shoulders, getting richer each time on their efforts, or the deals they made. At Zip2, it was Greg Khoury, Richard Sorkin, and Derek Proudian. At Confinity, it was the PayPal team of Peter Thiel, Max Levchin, and Luke Nosek. At Tesla, the engineers Eberhard and Tarpenning. At SpaceX, it was the IP provided by NASA that Tom Mueller used to build Falcon. Not to mention the billions upon billions in government money that Musk has absorbed into his companies, with no tangible benefit provided to the average taxpayer. Once those exceptional people at Tesla and SpaceX left or were forced out, Musk was left to his own devices. And that's how we wound up with these stainless steel napkin drawing monstrosities like the Cybertruck, the biggest vehicular flop in decades, and Starship, his tinfoil tower that's now 15 months late delivering on its Option A contract. And when it comes to the visions that he's credited with, Musk could be best described as a cuckoo bird, a parasitic organism that invades a nest and forces the original occupants out, to pretend the nest is his because he truly does not have the ability to create it any other way. The Musk genius myth is just that, a myth that is not anchored in reality. Thanks for tuning in to this series from the Common Sense Skeptic. It really is a shame that the case never saw the light of day. The next best outcome would be to one day find out how the settlement made Martin Eberhard whole again after the 2 years of shit and abuse from Musk that still gets thrown at him from time to time. But at least now, better late than never, we can show people through this 16-year-old legal document who Musk was, who he is now, and what he will always be. Because no matter how much wealth he accumulates, no matter how much power, he will always be the jealous, spiteful, manipulative man-child who did not found Tesla Motors. If you learned something in this series, please pass it along to others who can use the information. If you'd like to support future CSS productions, please visit our links at Buy Me a Coffee or GoFundMe for one-time donations, or Patreon to support us with a monthly subscription. And before you leave, please give the episode a thumbs up, leave your comments, and ring that notification bell so that you'll know when the Common Sense Skeptic returns.
Well, more than tweaking, we had to design every aspect of it. We spent a huge amount of time and money developing a battery pack that gets the kind of range we want and does it in a way that's safe and reliable. We had to develop motor technology, power electronics, and all of the things to build a real car that's a high-performance sports car and light.